Differentiated instruction presented by Heather Fosdick. What is differentiated instruction? It is the approach where the teacher adjusts the curriculum and instruction to maximize the learning of all the students. It goes from a teacher-centered instruction to a student-centered instruction. This is because not every student can learn the same way, and not every student is on the same level. There's lower or low, middle, and higher or high levels of where they are in readiness of their grade level. How can a teacher put differentiated instruction into action? There are a variety of strategies the teachers can use, employing effective classroom management, grouping students for instruction and work, especially if the student has significant learning problems, assessing readiness of each student, making assessments at the beginning, throughout the content being taught, and at the end. Teaching the student's zone of proximal development, the difference between what a student can learn without help and what he or she can do with help. We have to learn that students learn at varying levels and how fast. Some take a little longer to master a content or skill. This aids English learning students. It aids those with disability. In fact, it significantly benefits those with disabilities. It helps those who have a lower level and a high level of understanding of the content because it's taught to the middle level. There are different ways students can learn. Students learn and process information in different manners. They include visual learners, such as reading and the use of pictures; audio, reading out loud or listening to the tape or someone else to read; tactile or hands-on, using objects to learn the skill or concept. You have to remember that students cannot be forced into a mold. When we try to force the student into a mold, we're going to have more issues with that student not wanting to learn. They're not going to get to their potential in learning that concept and skill. There are different ways to provide differentiated instruction. There's whole group, basically a lecture, and then what helps too is to put those students into small groups, 5 to 6 students with either different learning levels or with those who are the same learning levels. Those who have the same learning levels, if you have students that are struggling in a concept of math or reading that are at the same way, sometimes having them together so you can give them more instruction and help is a good thing. Or even putting students who are at different levels so maybe they can have peers assisting them in learning some things, and it gives them a good feeling. Pairs, and they can be either the same or different levels, and then independent work. Independent works best with the high level learners because they grasp concepts a little faster in those areas, and not every student is going to be a high level learner in every subject. You may have a high level learner in math, but then that student may be a lower level or a mid-level learner in English and reading. So you have to take those into consideration also. What is a best way to get your students prepared for differential instruction? One thing is to explain it. And it also helps to explain it to the parents too, so they know what's going on. And discuss what fair really means. Is it fair that everybody learns the same thing at the same way? No. Maybe not. Each student works as a task that may be same or a little bit different than their peers to meet his or her needs. Discuss with the students and parents what works best for that student in learning and giving instruction. You know, maybe a student needs more time learning some math problems, whereas they're picking up English language really quick. You know, the literature and all that. Explaining that pre-assessments, ongoing assessments, and in-assessments will be happening throughout. And this will so much help you as an instructor when you say, okay, this person, this student, he's kind of low level to mid-level. This student may progress, which will help you in your instruction to that student. Getting your classroom ready for differentiated instruction is a very big thing. First thing is to keep the classroom free of any and all clutter. Have instructional information ready for the students and easy for you and the students, and easily accessible. Okay, make sure space is conducive to learning. Um, Make sure space is effective and has a reduced risk of distraction for those who are easily distracted. You may have stuff on a lot of walls, but leave an area blank for those who might have too much going on. If it's got too much going on, it can be a distraction, and they could be overstimulated. So they need to have that quietness or blankness on the wall. Here's some suggestions. There's 5 to prepare your classroom. Use an arrangement that is consistent with instructional goals and activities. This doesn't mean this is how you have to have your classroom set up the whole year. It can change because your students' learning levels can change. What you're teaching will change. What they know and don't know or understand can change. Keep high traffic areas free of clutter. Make sure it's easy to get around. Make sure you can see your students. If you are working with groups going on and they need your help, don't just go sit at your desk. Walk around your classroom. Look at them. Make sure they're on task. Make sure they're doing what they need to do. Keep frequently used teaching materials and student supplies ready and accessible. It's always a good thing to make sure they have extra pencils sharpened. It's always a good thing that if they need something to help them with that task, it's there. When you get ready to transition from one thing to another, it's there. So you're not wasting a lot of time finding this, that, and the other. And make sure your students can see what you're presenting and any displays. There's going to be students who have visual issues. They're going to need to be closer to the blackboard or whiteboard, whichever you use in your classroom. They're going to have larger printed items for them to see so they know what you're presenting. What a differentiated classroom looks like. The classroom is going to take on different forms throughout the day, the week, the month, and the school year. You will see whole group instruction, small group instructions, utilizing centers, doing work together, students in pairs, either, like I said, same learning or different learning levels, and independent working. You're going to see changes because every student is going to be on a different level in different subjects, because the concept and knowledge that they have is going to be different, because you want to make sure that it's engaging and interesting for the student. You could have small groups that are low-level learnings working with while the middle and higher level learning are working with groups together to help for each other. You could have groups that they're working on the same type of subject, but they're having different ways of doing it. You're going to have someone who's going to be an expert, in a group that goes and gets all the information and then shares it with the group, and the group works together on it. Teacher could be moving around and checking to make sure that each group works on them and aiding the students when it's needed. You're going to see students utilizing audio books to understand the text or context of the lesson due to their readiness and their reading levels. Students utilizing the whiteboard or watching a video clip because they're visual learnings, or using blocks or different types of objects to learn a math concept by using a tactile method. Common core practices and differentiated instruction in the classroom vary. Primary instruction is giving lectures, and that's it. It's considered a teacher-centered instruction. It can hinder those who are visual learners or tactile learners, or it hinders those who are lower learners or higher learners, because the instruction basically aims at the middle. Well, if you're a low learner, then you're going to get lost. If you're a high learner, you're going to get bored easily, and they're just not going to care. By not allowing students to retake a test, you're kind of pushing them into a mold. Sometimes it takes a while for a student to master a concept or skill, and you need to use formative assessments to do this. And that means you're going to be testing periodically. You're not going to be testing, and you're going to test so that they know it. And once that student has that concept and they've mastered that skill, they should be given full credit for it, because that's how we grade our kids on things, is how they master it. And if they've mastered it, they should get the credit for it. By grouping on previous year's achievement test scores, you're kind of hindering what you're trying to do. You should do formative testings throughout the year, because students can learn and master different areas of things, and they won't be lost or bored. Ongoing assessment will aim in placing them in the right groups because groups can change throughout the year because they can master. A student can master one concept quickly and move up, or a student may need to take more time. And in fact, sometimes a new concept comes along, and a student that might be in the middle for that concept before in that subject may be lost and may have to have more time. It's just the best thing you can do. Participation bonus in classrooms. This hinders what really should happen. Some students don't like to talk in public. Some students are shy. They're not participation are not what the students should be graded on. They should be based on their skills and understanding of the content and their knowledge. Now, if the bonus points are a part of a test or homework and it's a part of the content or skill that's being taught, that's different. The student is then going to be able to demonstrate the knowledge of the content. So it shouldn't count against them if they don't raise their hand every day and know what you think they should know, because every student has different learning levels. Testing every week. This can be daunting for some students, and it can be stressful because some students don't understand something, they haven't mastered the content, and they need more time. So instead of having a weekly test, doing a formative assessment, which is the ongoing assessment, helps them and helps you understand that they've learned it. Now, should they have to have a test for content and skill? Yes. Would weekly tests help? Yes, but it shouldn't always be what you based everything on, a weekly test. Spelling tests, that's one thing, hey, these are the words you have to learn, and you have a pre-test and a spelling test, a final test. And that's where you get the retake test. But testing every week, we're going to have a test every week on units that we're on for that week. Well, what if a student doesn't understand something? So that's how. With wrapping up, differentiated instruction, both student and teachers will succeed in the adventure of learning. And that's what it is. That's what we need to make students see, is that education and learning is an adventure. The students will continue in their education, and the teachers will grow in learning how to teach students with different learning styles. Helping students succeed and become the best students that they can will help the students in life, while helping the teacher become better at providing the kinds of instruction that will benefit all the students that pass through his or her classroom. Remember, providing differentiated instruction takes time and patience and will benefit both students and teachers. By providing a differentiated instruction classroom, you are providing a classroom that will engage the student, will keep the student's interest, and will hopefully make that student grow and move forward in the levels of education of each concept and skill and subject. I hope this helps you understand differentiated instruction. Thank you for listening.